All right, all right. Welcome back to the Friday night prepper pre-party show. How are you doing, YouTube? It's gonna be a fun one. I'm gonna give people here a little bit of chance to get in. Then we'll go over some housekeeping, and I think everybody's pretty clear about what my topic is tonight. This is just kind of a fun one, considering that is spooky weekend, Halloween, and all kinds of fun stuff going on. So this last year I did my prepper preppers versus zombies video, so this is kind of a just a little bit of a follow-up to that. I thought about maybe doing a follow-up, that it wasn't a live stream, but then I thought, you know what, we'll just kind of go live and I'll talk about some of my favorite zombie movies. I am a huge zombie movie fan. I love the zombie movie genre, and so this is going to be a fun one to talk about for me. Keep in mind that the movies that I talk about today are Sarge's picks, so you can absolutely debate me down in comments below. I actually welcome that. I don't expect everybody to agree with some of the picks that I have here, and you may have ones that I don't mention. So by all means, throw those into the chat. Hey, Laura. Hey, Silver Scorpion. It's good to see you. We're going to give people a few more minutes to get in here. So I got some mail that I'm not going to open today, but I got some mail from our friend FishyFish. So I will save this one. I just sent him a message on one of his videos. I'm going to save this one, and I will do a video on that when next time I bring out Boba Stacker, because I'm sure Boba Stacker will have something to say about it. And I've got my pink shirt on today, so just kind of showing some support for breast cancer awareness, since we are in near the end of October here. Sometimes people will like to do little sticker chats and things like that, and super chats on my live streams. I'm going to ask you tonight, please don't do that. Instead, if you wanted to do that, you can head over to my Instagram. I think I've got one day left on the fundraiser there. So my Instagram is everything_with_Sarge. And I am doing a fundraiser for the Susan G. Komen Foundation for breast cancer awareness and breast cancer research. So unfortunately there's only $20 people have donated so far. So, and that was my 20 that I put in there. So if you wanted to give support to my channel tonight through the super chats or anything like that, instead I'm going to ask you, don't give it to me. Go ahead over to my Instagram. You'll see it right on my profile page, like right down below where you can donate, and instead give it there. Okay, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Somebody contacted me through private message, and they asked about what was my connection to that was. I'm not going to get into that specifically tonight. I've talked about before, my mom did die of cancer, but that was not breast cancer. That was actually lung cancer. But yes, I do have other connections to people who have died from breast cancer. So that's for them. That's for them, and that's for everybody that's in the fight now, and all of our mothers and sisters and wives and daughters and friends who will be in that fight in the future. So by all means, if you have a little bit extra money and you're willing to do it, go over to my Instagram, donate down there, and I thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. I'm so excited. I've got here in Charleston, the weather is just phenomenal right now. Maybe the best time of the year. When I was driving home from work today, it was like 70 degrees, had the window rolled down, was listening to Sammy Hagar. I mean, it was awesome. I told my wife, I said, let's get our work done tomorrow, because I got to do some yard work. She's got to do some stuff for her business. So I said, let's get it all done. And then in the afternoon, let's go for a nice drive, because it's supposed to be like 68 degrees tomorrow. And then tomorrow night, we're going to watch one of the zombie movies that I'm going to talk about tonight. I'll tell you about that in a little bit. Mac, it's good to see you. Mac, you're a fan of zombie movies, aren't you? So what else? Okay, so this Tuesday, I haven't decided which video I'm going to release. I have a couple different choices. So I've recorded a ton of footage when I went on my little camping excursion recently. So if anybody wants to tell me what your preference is, I'll give you some of my choices. So I have some footage. Hey, Digital Preppers, good to see you. I have some footage of when I interviewed my dad over the summer, who was an 82nd Airborne paratrooper, about Arctic survival. I'm going to hold that until I think the following week, which is Veterans Day week. So I think I'm going to release that then. So I was thinking about this Tuesday releasing a video. I did, while I was out camping, I did some footage on concepts in camouflage, and kind of did like a Where's Waldo kind of game where you try to spot me in the woods. I'm thinking about releasing that, but I've got other stuff. I've got some camping cooking recipes that I did out there. I've got some reviews of like Mountain House kind of products. I do have the bug out footage, but that's going to take me a long time to edit. I'm not there yet, and I don't think I'm going to have time to edit that this weekend, so that's probably off the table. So if you guys have a choice, right, if for you, my audience that's here regularly, would you rather see the concepts and camouflage video, or would you rather see the, like one of my reviews of like Mountain House or something like that? Because I could release either. That's fine. Mac loves a good zombie flick. Mrs. T, so good to see you. The Dawn of the Dead. Yep, I'm going to talk about that one. Yeah. So that's cool. I'm glad. And if you guys think of other movies that I don't mention in this, please, by all means, go ahead and drop them down below. We can talk about them. I think that's it for housekeeping. If you're brand new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I drop videos at least twice a week, always something prepping or preparedness related. Talk a lot about food self-sufficiency. I talk a lot about financial preparedness. I just released some stuff about caring for your blueberry bushes and fruiting bushes. Do a lot of foraging, wilderness survival, gardening, product reviews, you name it. So really appreciate you joining in. I hope if this is your first time on the channel, hope you enjoy it. Everybody else, thank you for coming back. I always appreciate the audience. I feel so blessed and so lucky to have 1,500 subscribers now. I just passed this week 1,500 subscribers, and I am so thankful for that. Bacon, it's so good to see you. Yeah, I just passed it this week. I really, I was kind of surprised myself, and I'm on the verge of 2,000 followers on Instagram. So that's pretty cool too. I do release daily content on Instagram. A lot of times it's just like a screenshot of what I'm working on and things like that. The bulk of like the good content is always going to be here on YouTube. But yeah, there is stuff. I do stuff over there too. So if you're on Instagram, go ahead and look me up over there. All right, I think I'm going to go ahead and get into it. I don't know if this is going to be the full 45 minutes tonight. My back is kind of giving me some trouble, so I'm kind of looking forward to just kind of hanging out with the cat on the recliner and playing a little bit of video games, but I'll do my best to hang in there. You all showed up, so I'm going to give you a good show. All right, so this is Sarge's list of my personal top 5 favorite zombie movies. And again, if your pick is different, it's okay. You can go ahead and tell me about it. All right, so let's start with number 5. So number 5 for me. So I do like a good campy zombie movie too. I like serious zombie movies. I like scary zombie movies, and I do occasionally like a good campy zombie movie. What do I mean by that? Like the zombie comedy kind of stuff. So Zombieland from 2009, starring Woody Harrelson, is my number 5 movie. I thought it was just like such a fun mix of good, goofy comedy. Love Woody Harrelson. I loved him in Solo, the Star Wars movie. Of course, I've been following him since back in the day of Cheers when I was a little kid, and there was 5 channels on the television, and he was on a show called Cheers. Some of you may be too young to know what that was, but it was a great little show. It had Ted Danson, had Woody Harrelson, a couple others. I'm sorry, I'm blanking out right now. Was Tony Danza on there? Did he sometimes cameo sometimes as a baseball player for the Boston Red Sox? Am I remembering that correctly? But anyways, it was great. It was basically most of it, like 99% of it, was shot in this bar in Boston. And if you ever visit Boston, there is a Cheers bar that it's based on. That's not the original name of it. I'm blanking on the original name of it. If somebody remembers it, you can throw it into chat. But always been a Woody fan, and Zombieland is a real fun movie. I confess that I have not seen Double Tap, Zombieland 2 Double Tap. So you can throw things at the screen right now for me for not watching that yet. I just haven't gotten around to it. I do want to see it. By the way, I'm going to throw links to all of the movies and some of my honorable mentions and a few others down in the description down below. That will be affiliate links. If you use them, of course, I get a very tiny commission. It's never an extra cost to you. doesn't cost you any more than if you hadn't used it, but by using that link, I get a tiny little commission. It protects your privacy in that I can't see who buys what. Yeah, if you're interested in any of these movies, definitely use my affiliate links, and I sure do appreciate that. Laura doesn't watch any zombie movies. What is this? What is this? How do you not like zombie movies? All right, Bacon, are you going? You got your show later on tonight. So Bacon's live stream is a lot of fun, by the way. If you guys haven't seen it yet, unfortunately, I think you're on the West Coast, because like I try to stay up, and by the time you're going live, I'm always like half asleep. So I apologize. I do watch it on the recap. Titan Preparedness, so good to see you. Dank Bunny, good to see you. I have not seen this one. I have not seen The Revenant. Is that with who's in that? Remind me who's in it. I can picture it in my head. Bionic FishyFish. I was just telling people that I got your mail actually right in front of me here. Right in front of me. Whoops, there we go. I'm going to open this on another video when we'll have Boba Stacker with me, and we'll talk about some silver and gold and stuff like that. So I did get your mail. Scare Sasha, and she always watches movies with us, so you never get to see them, huh? Yeah, and I watch a lot of sci-fi, and my wife will tolerate some sci-fi. Like, she likes Star Wars, so she'll watch all that stuff with me. But if I get too heavy into the sci-fi, she won't watch that. So sometimes we have to like say, okay, you get the TV tonight, because we have a couple TVs, but like the big TV, the nice TV, we just kind of compromise. And a lot of times during the week, I'm like, you know what, I've got my second job. I do consulting and stuff like that. So she watches, and then on the weekend I might say, hey, do you care if I use the TV? I'm gonna watch a movie. JH, thanks for joining us. Dank Bunny. All right. Bionic FishyFish in the house. David Anders. Okay. It's not the one I was thinking about then. I will have to check that out, though. All right. Coming in at number. Oh, yeah. That's a good one, too. I Am Legend. And I don't tend to remember that one because I don't think of it like a zombie movie, but they kind of were like zombies. And some of these ones that I'm going to talk about tonight, they're not really zombies, but they're kind of like zombies. So that is a good one. I Am Legend. All right. Next one, coming in at number 4. Now, this one is the one that my wife and I are going to watch tomorrow night. This is another kind of fun, campy comedy zombie movie. It's called The Dead Don't Die. It's from 2019. And this is the one out of all the 5 that I'm going to talk about. This is the one that's most recent. So The Dead Don't Die stars Adam Driver, who you probably remember from Kylo Ren. He plays Kylo Ren in the Star Wars sequel trilogy. And it has Bill Murray. Now, Bill Murray, I don't know if I would have even watched this movie if it didn't have Bill Murray in it. Now, Bill Murray has a local connection. Bill Murray lives in Charleston. Now, it's not where he was from, but he lives here full time. He owns or he's part owner of the minor league baseball team here, the Charleston River Dogs. And a lot of times he's at the games, walks around, interacts with people. People spot him all around Charleston. Like, you can be taking a picture and he'll just like pop in and photobomb people. Basically regarded in Charleston as an all-around good guy. The city here really, really loves him. He's kind of an ambassador to the city. My wife actually saw him on a plane one day, flying back from Boston to Charleston, and he had on like kind of like the boonie hat that I sometimes wear when I'm out in the woods, but he had it like pulled down. Like he was trying to kind of be discreet. And but he walked to the restroom, and my wife saw him, and I wasn't on the plane with her, but she kind of looked around and everyone was like, is that Bill Murray? And it turns out it was. But they all respectfully, obviously he didn't want to talk to anybody at that time, so they respectfully left him alone so he could enjoy his flight in peace. But it's got Adam Driver, Bill Murray, and it is a huge, awesome cast. It's got Chloe Sevigny, Selena Gomez, Iggy Pop is in there. Just awesome cast. Lots of cameos. If you haven't seen it, I really do recommend checking that one out. My wife and I have made that a tradition for us. Every Halloween for the last few years, we watch that as part of our kind of Halloween ritual. So we are going to do that tomorrow night. The Dead Don't Die from 2019. All right. I am Mac. I'm going to be actually talking about that one just a second here. That is my number 3. That's my number 3. Number 3 on my list, World War Z from 2013, starring Brad Pitt. World War Z is actually loosely based on a book, and there might have been a sequel to the book too. Now I've read the book, and it was like a collection of short stories that are told from the perspective of people who survived the zombie war after the fact, right? So they're recalling their stories to this author, and he's writing them down and collecting them. And so it's all different stories of things that happen in different parts of the world during World War Z. Now the movie's loosely based on that. It doesn't really feature a lot of that. It's more based on following around Brad Pitt and his character. But there's some really good action scenes in there. There's some cool character development in there. I don't remember if they did a movie sequel to that. If anybody remembers that, go ahead and drop that. And because if there's a movie sequel to it and it's good, I would like to check that out. But I don't recall there being one. I sort of remember that there was talk of working on one, but I want to say that I don't know if it ever got finished, and I don't know if it had Brad Pitt in it either. But anyways, World War Z, if you haven't seen it, that's a pretty fun one. Let's see. Yeah, so The Walking Dead, Laura, I love season 1 and 2. I thought they were just phenomenal. I think it goes down, for me personally, it goes downhill after season 2. Season 3 was okay, and then it just felt like it starts getting repetitive. The band picks up, they move, things go okay for a little while, they encounter some new enemy, main character dies, they have to move again, and it just it felt like it was just rinse and repeat. I did stay with it for a while until the season where Negan, I don't want to ruin it if people are watching it and haven't watched it yet, where Negan killed my favorite character, and that really kind of did it in for me. So I took a year off from it, and I tried to go back, and I was just like, I'm just not into this anymore. So, and then season 1 of Fear the Walking Dead was actually kind of cool too. Let's see. Yeah, so you're talking about World War Z, because in World War Z, I think that's what you're talking about. They're like super fast, like they're sprinting zombies. That is Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead. Mac likes The Walking Dead for the interaction with other survivors and groups. Yeah, and it's got, Daryl's awesome. Daryl's super fun to watch. And even though people hated Negan was actually interesting character. I liked Eugene. I thought he was actually one of the more interesting characters. Hey Angie, it's good to see you. And hey Sarge, I continue to have problems trying to post to your channel. So make sure you check out Sarge's channel there too. Sarge 27271. He's been putting out some fire content about what's going on in the economy right now. All right, number two. Now I start getting into these next two really are my all-time favorite zombie movies. I don't know that anything will ever beat these two zombie movies in my book. The number 2 is 28 Days Later from 2002. Now, technically speaking, this is one of those movies where the zombies are not really zombies in that they're not dead. They're actually alive, but they're people who are infected with this disease that essentially makes them unthinking cannibals, right? They're more like that than zombies, but for all intents and purposes, they act like zombies. They're fast. They're super fast. This was, I believe, filmed in either England or Scotland, so it's a little bit different. A lot of the zombie movies are filmed in the United States and have a little bit of that American culture. This one here for 28 Days Later, for most of the film, there's no firearms till they get to about 2/3 of the way through. So I thought that kind of made it interesting in that they had to kind of deal with the zombies in some different ways. Good cast, good story, really intense, got some really scary moments, got some really powerful emotional moments in there. If you somehow haven't seen 28 Days Later, definitely check it out. There's a sequel to it called 28 Weeks Later, also very, very good. It does not make my top 5, but it's also very, very good. And I believe they're working on another one called 28 Months Later. I don't know where that is in development, though. Dank Bunny loves 28 Days Later. Scary Outcomes. Yeah, and you know what, Fish, when that came out in the 80s, I remember like the special effects on that and the dance coordination was really, really killer. I remember like that was the first really Michael Jackson put out some amazing videos, but that was the first one that like a ton of production money went into making Thriller. So yeah, so in the animal world, right, Mac raises an interesting point here. In the animal world, there are diseases that animals can get that will cause them to act very, very hostile, even towards each other, and lose their normal behavioral patterns, become extremely aggressive. One example that kind of comes to mind is mad cow disease. Now, where mad cow disease comes from is there is a protein. If I get the science on this wrong, please forgive me. But there's a protein called prions that comes from when a mammal species is eating another mammal species, right? And it gets in the brain and it can become dormant for a while, but eventually it leads to mad cow disease. Now, this is one of the things that they don't talk about that much, but prions like that have been spotted outside of cows. One of the theories about how this started is that ranchers, to save money on feed, were using the parts from cows that they weren't selling for meat and grinding it up and putting it into the food. Well, cows aren't omnivores. Cows are herbivores. And so when you take a species and you're essentially feeding it its own kind, this is one of the theories about where these prions come from. So there's now been prions, unfortunately, been spotted in deer. So this is something that, hunters probably should be aware of. Is it common? No. Thankfully, it's not that common. But when I was reading about this, there was actually some concern that the prions can actually be the prion protein can actually get into the ground. And then there's concern that maybe it can even be absorbed that way. So it wouldn't be that like the species would necessarily have to even eat another species to contract it. It may be that some of these herbivores like deer are eating grass that had the prion proteins in it, and that's how they're getting it. So it's actually jumping to species, and it's something that we just do need to be aware of. That's one example, but there's stuff that goes on in the insect world too. I think there was something that was going on with the bees or the hornets, where they got like some kind of virus that made them basically like zombie bees. Basically they're alive, but like their brains not, their little bee brains are not functioning correctly. All right, let's see. How long would that's an interesting question. How long would a zombie apocalypse would last? Certainly not more than a year or two. I don't know. If something like that happened, I don't know. Probably depends on where it happens and what kind of efforts are made to contain it. I will check that out, Mac. I'm not a big fan of K-pop, but I'll check that out. Yep. Okay. I think you guys were just a little bit ahead of me. Yeah, and there you go. Soylent Green. Sarge hit on it. So if you haven't seen that one, right? Oh, thank you, Miss Southern Belle. I appreciate that. If you haven't seen that one, Soylent Green is from the 70s. And by the way, before anybody else does any super sticker chats, I am doing over on Instagram, I'm doing a fundraiser for Susan G. Komen. So I appreciate that, Miss Southern Belle. If anybody else, before you do any of that, you can go ahead over to my Instagram and just go ahead and donate in there for tonight. I really appreciate that. Let's see. In fact, what I'll do, Miss Southern Belle, is I'm going to throw that 5 when I'm done here. I'll go over and I'll throw that 5 into that fundraiser. Soylent Green. Sorry, there's that ADD kicking in. Soylent Green is a futuristic movie set in it was filmed in the 70s, and the twist at the end, in case, here's your spoiler warning, turn the volume down for a second if you're gonna go see it. They were feeding people basically. They were turning it into like crackers to deal with hunger issues and supply chain issues. Imagine that. All right. So last one here, right? So my number one zombie movie of all time, and I really don't think that there will ever be another one made for me, and I'm going to give you some honorable mentions after this. For me, they'll probably not be. That's okay, Miss Southern Belle. I appreciate it. I always appreciate a good sticker chat and super chat. I will throw it in there. Don't worry. For me, the number one zombie movie of all time was Zack Snyder's 2004 remake of Dawn of the Dead. Now, usually a remake doesn't exceed the original. For me, this one does. And that may be sacrilege to the zombie genre community, but I'm going to say I really, really liked the 2004 remake of Dawn of the Dead. This is the one where they're in the shopping mall during the zombie apocalypse. And if you haven't seen it, I am not going to spoil it. If you haven't seen it, if you only watch one zombie movie, this would be the one that Old Sarge would recommend to you. Now, honorable mentions would include, yep. No, I don't think so, Sarge. I don't think they're going to give us the green crackers. I hope not. Honorable mentions. So the original Dawn of the Dead is also worth your watch. So we've got, for honorable mentions, I've got, let's see, Night of the Living Dead from, I think that was 1968, George Romero. George Romero is really credited with like that he got the modern concept of zombie genre movies. Like it all came from his work. So 1968, Night of the Living Dead, and then his Dawn of the Dead is from 1978, 10 years later. I'm going to also give honorable mentions to Shaun of the Dead, which somebody mentioned before, which is that's zombie apocalypse is going on, and they are basically have to get to the Winchester because there's a firearm there to defend themselves against the army of the dead, basically. Speaking of the army of the dead, I'm also going to throw out Ash and all of the Evil Dead movies. Now, you can make an argument that those are not zombies, and you would be correct. They're technically possessed corpses, right? In a lot of ways, they act like zombies. So Ash and all the Evil Dead movies, I'm going to include in those, and I have 2 more. For those of you who are fans of the Resident Evil series, either the video games or the movies, I will say the first Resident Evil movie is good, and I really liked the third one. I think it was the third one that's set in Las Vegas. I thought that was really, really good for a zombie apocalypse movie because in the first one, the zombie apocalypse hasn't happened yet. It's like the beginning. It shows you where the zombie apocalypse started from in Raccoon City. But then by the third movie, it's like it's full spread out, and it takes place in like a post-apocalyptic dystopian Las Vegas. And I thought the set was just fabulous. Lots of great action there. Characters that you kind of learn to like, and then they take them away from you. So it has that emotional tug of like, oh, I really liked that character, and now they're dead, you know. So let me check your comments here. Let's see. Good movie called Dawn in the Bed. I don't know that one. Dawn of the Dead 2004 is your favorite as well. Okay. Night of the Living Dead remake is good too. Yep. That deserves an honorable mention. The Strange Zombies. I don't know. I haven't seen that, Fish. Has anyone seen that one? The Strain. There are some good zombie series on like Netflix and Amazon Prime. Watched one this summer, and I cannot. I should have wrote it down. I'm blanking on it. I watched one this summer that was pretty good, and I think there's one called Black Summer that I haven't watched yet that I've heard is pretty good. Yeah, so The Last of Us is I was gonna actually talk about zombie video games, and I might do that in a different time. But The Last of Us is a phenomenal. If you like video games, The Last of Us is a phenomenal zombie video game. Great story. There's only been 2 video games that I can remember in my life that actually made me cry, and The Last of Us was one of those. The other one was not zombie, but it was a video game called Life is Strange. But the Last of Us is a phenomenal story. There is a sequel to it too, The Last of Us 2. I have it, but I have not played it yet, and the reviews on it were not great. A lot of people didn't like it, so I've kind of held off on it. I will eventually, when I'm homesick for a couple days or whatever, I'll work my way through it. I think it's pretty short, but The Last of Us is phenomenal. Some of the Resident Evil games are good. There was a video game for PlayStation called Days Gone that was pretty good. Island of the Dead for PlayStation 3 was pretty good. There's a couple other ones. I'm trying to think. If you guys think of them, you can throw them into chat there. So I think every time I go to a certain large department store, I think that it's full of zombies, to be honest with you. The rat killer character in The Strain. I'm going to have to check that out, y'all. Yeah, I've heard really good things about Black Summer. All right, Fish, thank you so much. Appreciate it. I'm actually winding down anyways. So anything else you guys want to throw in chat? And did you all have, those of you who were here early when I first started, did you have a preference on that? Do you want me to do the concepts and camouflage video on Tuesday? You want me to release that one? Because that's kind of what I was leaning towards. It's kind of a fun little video. Yep, we talked about I Am Legend earlier. Yep, I think Fish might have thrown that one out. If you have anything you want to plug right now, go ahead and throw that in the chat. I really appreciate everybody. I hope you have a great spooky weekend. Happy Halloween. And I will be on Tuesday. I'll release something. I promise you that. I've got tons of footage. And then I'll be back next week for Friday for my regular Friday night prepper pre-party show. I am working on a guest. Check out the trailer for The Revenant. I will. Thank you, Dank Bunny. I appreciate that. I'm working on a guest for next Friday. We have not been able to confirm yet. So something will be on next Friday. I promise you that. The last Romero movie where zombies were learning. I don't remember. I'm sorry. I don't remember. There's some good zombie books too. Like World War Z is one that sticks out for a lot of people. But I read another one that I was trying to remember. I think it was called The Enemy, which is just like a strange name. It's kind of basic, but it was about a zombie type virus that infected adults. So basically when sometime after puberty, this virus would take over in the human brain. And so the only people who were left on the planet were like teenagers and kids. And it was set in, I believe that one was set in England as well. That's pretty good. That was a pretty good one. Yeah, sometimes that's true, Bacon. Sometimes that's true. And Sarge, you'll follow this awesome channel preference, Sarge. All right, I appreciate you guys. If you enjoyed this one, please remember to give me a thumbs up. I think that's it. I hope you all have a great weekend. Keep planting your seeds. Keep stacking your silver. Watch lots of horror films. And happy trick-or-treating. This is Prepping with Sarge.